Hello, our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of our program Africa Today. Into this edition, we'll be shedding light at the most important topics that took place and developments in the African continent. And we'll start with the Ministry of Environment via the project of the sustainable management of the persistent organic pollutant succeeded in getting rid of more than 2,000 tons of high-risk, stagnant and abandoned pesticides and oil contained with the PCBs, which are listed in the Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutant. More details in the following story.
In the build-up to COP27 conference taking place in Egypt in 2022, the country's green project offers a glimpse into the direction Egypt is taking to combat the effects of climate change. Through these investments, there's now an eminent list of green projects that the country can showcase in the countdown to COP27. El Fairuz Fish Farm is an area that stretches the size of 11 football fields and is now the largest fish farm in Africa. The mega projects add 150,000 tons of fish to the 2 million tons of fish produced in the country. Bahr al-Bakar wastewater treatment plant, located south of Port Said, the plant holds the record for the world's largest water treatment plant. This 20 billion Egyptian pounds project possesses a production capacity of 5.6 million cubic meters per day. As the largest solar park in Africa, the Benben Solar Park has plenty to offer for Egypt's COP27 highlight reel. Located in Benben is one. The solar park's production of electricity matches 90% of the energy produced from the high dam. In cooperation with Russia, the first of its kind nuclear concept dates as far back as 2008, but underwent construction 13 years later in 2021. Located in El Daba, Matruh in the northwest of Egypt, the mega project is valued at 478 Egyptian billion pounds and aims to be Africa's largest nuclear power plant. Neighboring the larger Benban Solar Park in Aswan, the Komombo Solar Park will add 200 megawatts of energy to the 130,000 household near it. Komombo is also Egypt's largest private solar power plant, with investments reaching up to 2.1 Egyptian billion pounds. Egypt is constructing the largest water desalination plant in the Middle East in Al Arish, North Sinai, at a cost of 1.78 billion Egyptian pounds as a renewable replacement to its current water pump system. Egypt's first ever green hydrogen plant will be located in the Suez Canal Economic Zone. Meanwhile, it aims to reduce the country's green hydrogen emissions. The project aims to complete its first phase in time for COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh in November 2022 to showcase the project's potential during the event.
Welcome back. Egypt was one of the first signatories to the convention, confirming its commitment to international conventions. Egypt is one of the first countries that adopted strategies to reduce the negative impact of the climate change.
In Ruyana, a city perched in the mountains of northwestern Libya, a few dozen houses have stood the test of time and modernity. The owners now dream of making it a tourist attraction. Dug into the rock with the rudimentary tools, these century-old residents blend into the rocky slopes of Jabal Nufusa and beyond the formerly non-existent borders with Tunisia. For centuries, the inhabitants of the Ruyana, which culminates at an altitude of around 700 meters, lived there, prayed, and buried their dead. This construction technique was also used by the inhabitants to defend and protect the city from the invasions. Some constructions had purely military use. One can still distinguish the remains of the fortifications in certain places of the mountain and what remains of the watchtowers. However, whatever the design method, size or use, the choice of location cannot be left to chance. It's necessary to know that the nature of the rock to prevent the roof from collapsing during the excavation made with the strength of the arms. Uncrowded due to the insecurity that has reigned in the country since the fall of the Gaddafi's regime in 2011, the Berber towns of Jabal Nufusa with their cave houses have long been a tourist attraction. Some dwellings are more than 2,300 years old, but few of them have left traces. About 10 are still standing, but only one Turat dwelling has survived and is now used as a show house. Families go there on weekends to discover these unusual spaces, have a cup of tea, or meet around a meal.
And that was a feature story from Libya about historical and monumental houses in the city of Gherian. And now to shed more light about the effects of the climate change, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Dr. Mohammed Rushdie, economic and banking expert and lecturer at the Cairo University. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Rushdie.
Hello, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to say good evening to you and our audience.
Many thanks.
And I would like to thank the program team for today's invitation.
Thank you very much for being our guest for today, sir. Dr. Rushdie, Egypt is ramping up its effort for the upcoming COP27 summit, which will be taking place next November in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. The summit is set to witness constructive dialogue with the aim of producing ambitious results and developing initiatives that build on outcomes of last year's Glasgow summit. What's your take on that, Dr. Rushdie?
First of all, I would like to start my discussion today with a famous quote for the American writer Emerson.
Yeah.
We don't inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. I would like to take our audience firstly with the definition of sustainable development or sustainability. Actually, sustainability definition is its name. We are meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. In addition to natural resources, we also need social and economic resources. And this, as you know, and our audience know, there's a global trend to decrease our carbon footprint to sustain the future generation life. And there's a lot of pillars or things in sustainability. One of them, which is the financial sustainability, actually, which is, there is no agreed definition for it, actually, but it is, if I would like to define it, I would like to say it is about being able to be there for your beneficiaries in a long term. If it is opposite of ceasing your activities simply because you have run out of money, actually. But there are four main pillars of financial sustainability, actually, which is optimization of government expenditure, better management of government funds, and sustainable socio-economic development. Honestly, I would like to highlight that President Sisi succeeded in overcoming many political and economic issues during last 7 years and focusing on the sustainability or sustainable part. Actually, government took a lot of initiative in this part. If I elaborate it for our audience today, the Egyptian government have a great dream concerning the sustainability. The Egyptian government aims to increase the percentage of green public investments from 15% in the current fiscal year, 2021-2022, to 30% in the new budget for 2022-2023, and 50% in the following years, 2024-2025. Actually, the green investment improved Egypt's competitiveness in environmental performance index, and it play a great role in this point, actually. And there's a lot of initiatives that the government took for this point, especially Egypt. Egypt prepared for the COP27. We actually started with Al Fayouz Fish Farm, one of the mega projects that we invested to list of green projects that the country can showcase in the countdown of COP27.
Yeah.
El Fayous Fish Farm is an area that stretches the size of 11 citizen fields and is now largest fish farm in Africa. The mega projects will add around, as far as I recall, 150,000 tons of fish, 2 million tons of fish produced in the country.
Yeah.
Bahr al-Bakr wastewater treatment plant, which will cost around 20 billion, in addition to the largest solar park in Africa, will be in Ban Solar Park. In addition to Dab'a nuclear power planet, it will cost around 26 billion. And the Komombo solar planet, which will reach to 22 billion. A lot of things that we are working here in Egypt, in addition to the renewable placement of current water pump system, which will cost, as far as I recall, 1.8 billion, in addition to the green hydrogen planet, which is located in Suez Canal Economic Zone. It aims to reduce country-grade hydrogen emissions. What they are calling it to conclude things or to say the nuts and bullets for this. The government is working with the global trend to focus on sustainability and to focus mainly or depend on the renewable energy to provide better life for us and the new generation.
Yes. Sir, speaking about Egypt, what are the effects of the climate change on the coastal regions in the country? And it's noticeable that the climate change has actually a hand in changing the patterns of weather or its intensity.
Actually, the climate change has a great impact on the weather. Actually, it's not Egypt. If we can globalize it, actually, the climate change, we can realize it easily. It has a great impact on Egypt and the global countries. For that reason, there is a great initiative, which is the COP meeting, COP26 and COP27 meeting that will be hosted by Egypt to focus on this. Actually, and this is aligned with our sustainable development 2030 agenda for sustainable development, which one of the main pillars to build the new republic. And we have to focus on this because we, as I told you and our audience at the beginning of my speech, actually, that we don't inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. We have to keep it for our children and to keep sustainable and good climate to produce and to actually to let them bear the fruits of everything that we did.
Yes, indeed. Egypt aspires to be the voice of Africa, sir, in the upcoming COP27 summit and highlight the impact of the climate change on the continent. How do you see here the role that Egypt should be playing in order to be a representative of the African continent? And what are the most important topics that would be tackled in that summit regarding Africa and the repercussion of the climate change in the continent?
I believe it's a good question. Actually, Egypt is leading by example. I would like to take you and our audience through what we did and what's our plans. Actually, Egypt first sovereign green issuance won the pioneering issuance in the green market award and sustainable finance award for the best sustainable financing deal. The proceeds from the issuance were directed to implementation of 15 national projects in many governorates in various fields, including water and sewage projects in northern and southern Upper Egypt, the Dab'a planet in Matuh, the water treatment planet in the village of Arab Nabil in Asyut, the water treatment planet in Mahamid in Aswan, and renewable energy and the clean transportation project, including the monorail project, which will serve the governments of Greater Cairo in a way that contributes in achieving the Sustainable Development Goal. Actually obtained the first green financing in November 2021, as far as I recall, in the amount of $1.5 billion from a group of international and regional commercial banks, with a subscription that achieved a high demand level with a coverage ratio more than 3 times. Can you imagine that our country is leading Africa in this part, but in this time we are leading by example?
Yes, indeed. Dr. Mohammed Roshdi, our economic and banking expert and lecturer at Cairo University. It was really a pleasure to listen to your precious input. Many thanks for being our guest for today. And with this report, our dear viewers, about the Egyptian as the first signatories to this convention, confirming its commitment to international convention. Egypt is one of the first countries that adopted strategies to reduce the negative impact of the climate change, as it is currently preparing to host the COP27 Global Climate Summit in the Red Sea Resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. This year, the country has allocated about 8,000 cubic kilometer of unused land for renewable energy projects, and it has the largest electrical capacities of wind and solar energy in the whole region. More details.
The Ministry of Environment in Egypt confirmed they're cooperating with the World Bank in implementing the regional report on climate and development, will help in expanding cooperation at the national level in identifying a set of projects for financing. The ministry indicated that the possibility of launching African initiatives in the field of sustainable transport and improving mechanisms for engaging the private sector, in addition to cooperation in the Middle East Green Initiative for the Climate Conference COP27 this year. The Minister of Environment pointed to the possibility of cooperation with the African Development Bank in the Green Environment Alliance for African and the Energy Finance Initiative for Africa. For her part, the Minister of International Cooperation said that the ministry is working to intensify communication and discussions with the multilateral and bilateral development partners to discuss cooperation at the level.
Well, with that, our dear viewers, we come to the end of this edition of Africa Today. Many thanks for watching.